The name Doc Ellis still carries a strange kind of electricity in baseball. For some fans, it immediately brings up the image of a pitcher throwing a no-hitter while high on LSD. For others, it signals something darker: addiction, violence, self-destruction, and a career that constantly flirted with collapse. What often gets lost in the legend is the full story of who Doc Ellis really was and what his life says about baseball in its most unforgiving era. Doc Philip Ellis Jr. came into the major leagues at a time when the game demanded toughness and silence. Born in Los Angeles, he grew up angry, talented, and deeply mistrustful of authority. By the time he reached the Pittsburgh Pirates in the late 1960s, Ellis already saw baseball less as a dream fulfilled and more as a battlefield. He pitched with rage, with intent, and with a willingness to cross lines that many players pretended didn't exist. Ellis was good, very good. He could dominate hitters with a heavy fastball and sharp breaking pitches, and by 1971, he was one of the most feared arms in the National League. But fear worked both ways. Ellis pitched like someone who expected conflict. He believed hitters were trying to hurt him. He believed umpires were against him. And he believed that the only way to survive was to strike first. That mindset reached its most infamous moment on September 1, 1971, against the Cincinnati Reds. Ellis hit 3 batters in the first inning alone. Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, Tony Perez, the heart of one of baseball's greatest lineups, all got plunked. This was not wildness. Ellis later admitted it was intentional. He wanted to send a message. In his mind, this was baseball's unspoken code taken to its extreme. The league responded with a suspension, but inside clubhouses, many understood exactly what he was doing. The drugs, however, were not part of any code. Ellis drank heavily and used amphetamines long before the LSD story became public. Psychedelics, cocaine, alcohol, they were not side notes, they were daily companions. The famous no-hitter on June 12, 1970, came while Ellis was tripping so hard that he later claimed he couldn't see the catcher's signals clearly. For years, this story was told as a quirky footnote, a bizarre baseball anecdote. In reality, it was a warning sign hiding in plain sight. Ellis's addiction bled into everything. He missed meetings, he fought teammates, he argued with managers, he alienated front offices. The Pirates tried to protect him, discipline him, and at times simply endure him. When Pittsburgh traded him to the New York Yankees in 1975, it was less about talent and more about exhaustion. New York only magnified the problem. The Yankees of the mid-1970s were already combustible, and Ellis fit right in. He clashed with management, struggled with consistency, and continued using drugs openly. His time in pinstripes was short and turbulent. By the time he bounced to Oakland and later Texas, his reputation followed him everywhere. What makes Ellis's story darker is not just the addiction, but the violence beneath it. He once threatened a manager with a bat. He talked openly about trying to intimidate hitters by throwing at their heads. In an era that quietly tolerated this behavior, Ellis went further than most were comfortable admitting. He forced baseball to confront a truth it preferred to ignore, that the sport's romanticized toughness often masked something deeply unhealthy. By the end of his playing career, Ellis was barely hanging on. His velocity was gone. His control was unreliable. His body and mind were worn down by years of abuse. He retired in 1979, and for a while, it looked like the story would end the way so many others did: broke, addicted, forgotten. But Doc Ellis did something unexpected. He survived. In the early 1980s, Ellis entered recovery. He got sober, and instead of retreating from the chaos of his past, he turned toward it. He became a substance abuse counselor, working with players, inmates, and people who lived the same life he barely escaped. He spoke openly about his addictions, his violence, and his failures. There was no attempt to clean up the story. He didn't soften it for nostalgia. Ellis remained complicated even in redemption. He was outspoken, political, uncomfortable. He He criticized Major League Baseball for exploiting players and ignoring mental health long before those conversations became mainstream. He never fully became a feel-good comeback story, and maybe that was the point. Doc Ellis died in 2008 at the age of 63. Today, his name floats somewhere between myth and warning. The no-hitter gets the headlines, the LSD story gets the laughs, but the real history of Doc Ellis is about what happens when talent collides with addiction in a system that rewards silence and punishes vulnerability. His story forces an uncomfortable question. How many players like Doc Ellis existed before him, and how many came after, whose darkness was hidden behind wins, ERA, and bravado? Baseball remembers its legends. It rarely remembers the cost. Doc Ellis was not a hero. He was not a joke. He was a man shaped by his time and a reminder of what the game used to ignore.